Hello and welcome to another one-day mini bike build. Firstly, I think I need to clarify that when I say one-day build, it's not actually one day, it's one episode. Just one day sounds better and takes up less space in the title. The first time I did this with the Fox mini bike, the paint alone took several days because, paint has to cure. To recap, if you didn't watch the other episodes this was in, I got it for $100. It's a mid to late 60s Arco, I think model 35, 33, if I remember right. It had a little two-stroke 50cc engine on it, and the mini bike did run, but it would just do wheelies and do like 4 miles an hour. Like it was all torque and no speed, and it would also spin to like 8,000 RPM. So it was kind of a weird combination of slow and also sketchy, and also it vibrated a lot. I think I sold that engine for like 40 or 50 bucks, and then I put tubes and tires and bearings on this frame. So I think total this thing owes me about 120 currently, and then the parts I have lying around, they're all fairly cheap. So like that engine we're going to use came off a pressure washer I got for free, was previously on my Bonanza, and now it's going on this. So it really doesn't owe me anything aside from maintenance costs, which are nominal. So that engine's essentially free. A lot of the other components I have are free. The way I see it is if I have had it long enough that I've forgotten how much I paid for it, then it's free in my mind. When everything's said and done, this thing's probably gonna owe me about 300 bucks. The price point we're building this to is like, 80% done project. It'll run, it'll work, but it's not flawless, it's not perfect. So like we're not including fenders. I'm taking that rim back off because I had the matching one for it. That's, I think, an original Arco or maybe original Trail Horse. Either way, for the price point we're building this to, that's going to be a steel wheel to match the rear steel wheel, and then that rim will go back in storage. The whole point is to get this frame and another frame out of my storage space, because right now I have 5 vintage mini bike frames, and that's very excessive. I think 1 or maybe 2 is sufficient. So I'm keeping my Bonanza. This Arco is going to go away, and then I'll show you the Trail Horse that is also going to go away. The Trail Horse is already done. I'll show you that in a second, but same premise. The main reasoning for this episode is I found there's a finite number of projects I can have where the projects get used and taken care of to the level I want. And in order to meet that limit, I need to get rid of things. This frame here is the Trail Horse that I got in the bundle deal with the Kawasaki, the Honda, and the MT50 out of that barn. And I sold the Honda, sold the Kawasaki, and I sold some parts off the MT50 that I knew I wasn't going to use. And those 3 things combined actually even made me profit. Technically, this frame and the MT50 were free. This is a 70s Trail Horse. Don't ask me which model, I don't know. And it's a bit of a parts dump. I'm just trying to get rid of things, make a running mini bike, obviously, but do it on a budget just to get things off my shelf. So you may recognize that's the Tecumseh I did the $100 mod video on. That seat's off the Bonanza. Those tires came off the snowblower. That engine came off of those foot pegs or Harley ones I had lying around. The forks I had to actually buy, the weld it yourself forks. The old ones were just not savable. Plus they were from an Arco, not a Trail Horse, so they weren't technically original. And then the other components were all just stuff I just had lying around. It's pretty dialed at this point. I need to put a different carb on it, but other than that, it's like ready to go. So it won't be sad to see it go. It's just one less thing that I don't want to have sitting around. Originally, I had a buddy that I was going to build this for. We were going to do like a really ridiculous drag build. I got the engine for that build, and now plans have changed, and we're not even going to do that at all. First things first, the front wheel has to come off. Like I said, I'm going to swap the rim to a steel wheel. The rear wheel needs to be flipped. That GC, the way it spins, that means the sprocket needs to be on the further away side, and then that means the brake will also go with it. Since that band brake wasn't original, I need to do the same modifications that were done on this side to the opposite side so that it actually still works. So this hole here is really the only non-original thing, and I just need to replicate that on the other side to mount the brake band. Oh look, it's done. Oh, that's not good. How does it fit one way but not the other? It's like pinching it now. So it's actually this bolt that's holding the shock in, so that's weird. But whatever, I guess I'll just fix that now, and then we can move on to other stuff. I think it needs to go over even further still. I may have to drill holes in this engine plate, which would suck, but we might just have no choice in the matter. I got the new intake and new phenolic spacer bolted together. And the phenolic spacer, I think I lost the original one, so I had to buy an aftermarket one. I found the original Honda part number and then bought the cheap aftermarket one, which it doesn't fit exactly right. I had to drill out the mounting holes to 1132 just to get them to bolt up to the Predator intake. In any case, all we're going to do now is just open these up, because you can kind of see there's about 10 or 15% overlap, and thus creating a bottleneck. So we're just going to open up as best we can using like a standard whatever type of bit this is. So you can kind of see right there, there's a gap. So I got to figure that out. Plastic aftermarket intake might not actually end up working. I may need to buy an actual Honda one. When this plastic gets ground, it turns into like dust and gets everywhere. So one, wear a respirator, and two, I'm not going to film because it's going to get everywhere. And I really don't feel like cleaning my camera. So I got it where it needs to be. So this is a stock spacer. This is the one I just opened up. And also you have to sand it enough to get rid of this channel. And then same thing here, just kind of opened it up a little bit. That way when you overlay them, there's still some restriction, but not as much as there was. Now the weird thing is making a gasket to go between these two. This one needs the stock square gasket, and this intake needs the stock Predator gasket. So what you have to do is take the two gaskets, overlay them, and then trace the outer piece. Whichever one is the outer one is what you're going to trace, and then use the square center hole. It'll end up being a weird looking gasket, which is totally fine. It just, the whole point is that you need to cover every bit of the surface area with gasket material. So that's what it should kind of look like. Last time I made this, it was a lot lumpier looking. I'm not totally sure why that has happened. Made a little bit of progress so far. I got the valve cover on, I swapped it from the other engine. So that's all RTV'd, ready to go. Carb and intake, all that stuff's ready to go. Throttle cables installed, cheap air filter. One of the last things is a clutch, which it finally arrived, so I can actually finish that. So we're just using a cheap 35 chain, really standard clutch there. That seems to be good. So we'll just mark it and get it made. I need 3 hands for this. Sucks. Sounds like the shield is hitting the flywheel. Good enough. So we're gonna let the cancer burn off of the header wrap real quick. Obviously the carb needs more tuning. The bowl gasket's leaking. Doesn't have a muffler yet because it hasn't arrived. And the chain came off, so we need to adjust everything, basically. I think it's a pretty good place to end it off here. Obviously I need to make small adjustments, but it's complete and running, which is all really that matters. As far as this goes, I have 288 in it, I believe, 278 somewhere in there. I think I could have gotten it cheaper if I hadn't bought tires and tubes for it. The ones that were on it were okay, but old. The only reason I did replace them is because I bought the wrong size for a different project. So I just had these ones on hand. I'm like, oh, screw it, I'll just put them on. Had that happened during this build, I probably would have just opted to keep the old tires, but this was like a year ago that I did that. So the old tires are gone at that point. So I don't really have a choice in the matter, but if I were to have kept the original tires, this budget would have been $220, $230, somewhere around there, because the tubes and tires brought about 60 bucks. The tires were like 25 each, the tubes were like $5 each, so do the math. You could very easily build this same bike for like 2 to 250, which I think is pretty reasonable. I filmed making the exhaust, but I didn't talk about it. All I did was I got a generic Honda flange, welded on a 180-degree bend of 1-inch tubing, and then I welded on a bung on the end that has the 3/4-inch NPT thread. The part number for the muffler is M1110, I think, and it's by Arnold. They're just like generic, you know, Briggs & Stratton mufflers, and you can get them for like $7. That's what I ordered, but they haven't arrived yet. So for now, it's just kind of an open exhaust, which is quite loud. So again, we're gonna cut it off here. I'm gonna just do the small adjustments needed to make this solid and running, and then just sell it and move on. And that'll free up some time and also some money to put towards other projects. The black one, same thing. That one has a couple small things I need to figure out still, and that one will go away as well. There's still a couple other projects on the chopping block, so I need to figure that out, which ones are gonna go before I can start getting back at completing projects I do care about. If you have any questions as far as how I built it, where I found parts, and so on, feel free to comment below. I will try to put links in for parts that have consistent links, because obviously like with eBay, the links change every like 3 months. So linking them is kind of pointless. So yeah, with all that being said, thanks for watching and stay tuned. Oh, how exciting, the back of my head. Yes, how fun. Okay, let's try a different one. Nope. What the fuck is happening? How are you at low battery already? I just charged you. This camera sucks. So just cut it out and you'll be good to go.
There's a secret society of people living alone.
I left the Bluetooth on and it started telling me about crab people. Anyways, yep, just keep fucking with me. That's fine. I think I grabbed the wrong bolts. Yeah, I did. Okay, well, anyways,